Big words mean nothing. Only actions carry weight. The person you choose to be when you step in the room is your greatest presentation, especially when no words are spoken. What the mouth won't speak, the energy and behavior will. And it's not to say confidence just magically appears or you gotta go looking for it. A fact within this life is part of your purpose is discovering your true self. We make our challenges and sacrifices harder by not putting the focus on ourselves. We instantly question the obstacle presented to us as if it were to have the answer to our frustration and lack of better understanding. Instead of choosing to look within ourselves, we'd rather believe we're not built to win, or maybe how much we don't deserve the thing we're striving for. We set ourselves back further in the process by choosing to sit in our pile of guilt, shame, and memories that overpile us within due time. We make it harder to even consider it an option that we ourselves are the problem, because doing that is creating you to be the enemy, making you feel like you were not made for this task or you were not good enough, when all the problem really is a matter or situation that is being pushed back due to the difficulty or harm it's bringing. A problem is something that needs to be investigated, observed, and experimented with in order to change the outcome of result that problem is bringing. And it's not to say you will always be the problem, but would it hurt to put the focus of attention on you? It is not a setback if after your fall you decide to work on yourself. The truth, and most importantly, doing what's best for you, won't always feel good. The courage used to remove negativity and bad habits out of your life is the same courage that gets used and built to let in what is nurturing to your soul and a better way of living. How would there be any room for faith and confidence in the same place that's full of fear and shame? How can one do that with no will to break apart the ego? Things become more painful over time because God gets to a point where He's going to strip things away what no longer belongs in your life, because it then becomes better for God to start doing it for you instead of watching you step closer and closer to a bottomless pit of more wrongdoing and self-destruction. And it's not to say you have to end up to that point for God to interfere, but just how cautious you need to be around your character and surroundings, because of course, God, the all-seeing God, has a bird's point of view on your whole life. This is your life. Free will is given up until the point you make the final decision clear of who it is you are, what you believe in, and what you're willing to accept as your fate. You have the first option, which is to be aware of your habits, actions, words, and beliefs. You clean yourself up by understanding what you put out is what you get back. The second option is still choosing to be blind to your own awareness until God brings your own shadows to come challenge you and present to you what your actions made out of themselves. Regardless, the path to a better way of living is through pain and suffering. The question is, how much easier will you make it for yourself? Yes, God is love. So if He has to strip things out of your life just to not see you end up being destroyed, then that is what's going to happen. Sacrifices will be made just for you to not end up being one yourself. The greatest thing God can do is remove what we've always grown up to believe is who we are or part of who we are. We take these negative aspects within ourselves as we continue our walk in life because it's a use of protection from what we've known, experienced, and how it's worked for us in the past. But not, is this a reaction of fear, or in what way did it really protect me? We bring out our own chaos by our own self-destruction of thinking. We believe we were made perfectly in God's hands. So how a lot of us make up for our actions, we tend to say, well, God made me this way. But the truth is, man is made in the image of God. Therefore, if we have felt pain, suffering, anger, neglect, happiness, joy, then so has He. And the thing is, still today, He is able to feel these emotions, but we tend to forget that. All we remember is God is perfect, all-knowing, and the one who holds all the answers. And we do have the right to question, why would God let all this bad stuff happen to me? And that reason being is to find your light. Life is set up to challenge and set you back after what feels like a lifetime cycle. But when you start to be more aware and play your cards right, eventually you make the cracks to let more light in. Cause and effect is the game of life. What we put out eventually comes back to show you how it's played its role in this life for others or yourself. This feedback is the lesson of how you need to change or use it in a better way, showing you there's a way to get more or less out of what it is you speak, do, and feel in this universe. You wouldn't be able to understand the level of how high you can reach if you were never put at the lowest point. Some of us have had it easier than others, and many are given opportunities by those who give knowledge to them, but still choosing to be reckless with lack of understanding and good judgment, we lose those gems from our fall. Regardless, everyone will be put through a great amount of pain and suffering, and the question is, what will you do with it? If you were able to experience sadness, how would you appreciate the great amount of happiness and understanding of how to nurture yourself in those ways? Where you stay in that energy field, remembering your pain is not there to remind you and cut you deep again, but to remind you of where it is you've come from, how much pain you were able to endure, and how better you can take care of yourself having these new understandings. Because there was once a time you didn't believe this circumstance would happen, or how you didn't believe you could make it past this pain, and worst of all, you didn't believe. But you're still here. You're still breathing. And with new beliefs, why would your next obstacle have the right to even question you if you can make it past this one? Be patient with yourself, not reactive. Be okay with not understanding. I mean, how can you? Why do you expect to have the same exact mindset as somebody who sees success left and right? A king sits on the throne knowing nothing can be taken from them, because they already know what it feels like to have everything stripped away. Until it's just them, they gotta look in the mirror, be the only thing that they can work with. Because they made it to this point, they were strong enough to ask themselves, what can I do differently about this? What am I not seeing here? If this pain of suffering is going to take me out, then take me out while I run through that field. You either let your battles taunt you, or you go in knowing that anything can happen, but it will happen in your hands, not life. We become our own shadows by building up our walls with what doesn't belong in us or doesn't seem to fit with truly who we are. By choosing to hide behind from what makes us feel protected, but really it only hides us more, and that's much scarier, as it can easily become shattered, especially by those who see right through us. And it's not to say that this is where we need to end up in order to find our light. It's to say the more you ignore what needs to be worked on within yourself, the darker it will become. It's taking everything that has broken you and making the final decision to throw piece by piece, knowing you have the right for why it no longer belongs to who you are and you're doing. The shadow is the ego or habits in your life that you feel prevents you from being truly who it is you are and prevents you from shining your light and allowing it to be seen. You are responsible for your own outcome in life, period. Therefore, you must become your own self-guardian to observe, protect, and discipline yourself, not just for the moment, but for self-awareness in the future too. To live not in a place of fear or conflicts, but in a place of confidence and prosperity. Things only churn out for the better when you continuously think of ways to grow or enhance your character. The main thing I'd want you to remember is your mind is where your soul rests and wakes up. It's your safe place and working room. It's where you run to when your confidence knocks you over. People throw nasty words at you, and when you feel like giving up because it feels like there's nobody or nothing to remind you how worthy you are. So what would you want it to be filled with? What do you want that space to be full of when it's the last place to go? And again, the emotion you give most thought and energy into is the one that takes charge. It won't change the mind in a second, but it'll be loud enough to seize the attention. If you can't control your own thoughts, how do you expect to have them under control when it's time to snap into place? The more training you do within, the more you're able to easily function and keep calm in moments of disruption. I want you to picture your mind as an animal. How you train that animal to treat you back and respond when a command is made is what makes it more worthy to you personally. Not that it wasn't valued at all, but the value has went up. So if you show no type of respect to an animal, it's almost certain to attack. If you choose neglect, it will show no energy to rise up when you're ready to play. And if it's in a state of constant fear from your anger, what else is it exactly you are gaining? By shoving back what scares you in a corner of the room, or should I say, the back of your mind. So how is it you're going to train your mind to work with you, not against you? How is your mind going to pick you up when you are externally focused on the failed outcomes in front of you? When you are in a time of trouble, what is it exactly you are going to unleash out in order to protect, guard, and comfort you when nobody and nothing else is there to do it? Your mind, life, and motivation may be a mess, but who says you can't clean it up? It's time to start uprooting what no longer belongs in your way of thinking in order to start planning what you desire to be or create. You were bold enough to use your ego, now be bold enough to destroy it. One candle can start a whole wildfire. What isn't being searched for cannot be found. And most importantly, who you are today is not your identity for your future self. It only is if you visualize yourself being in that same state of now, only in a different time. Do not let life break you apart. Be in charge. Do it yourself to build something, knowing you can build it back up, because you took the route of searching for the right resources, people, and beliefs, instead of standing in what life has thrown at you to work with. There is more to life, but not if you're afraid of the unknown. Afraid of the fear of tape life has cautiously put around you, not for protection, but for fear of you discovering all that is open and available to you.